G'day from the Barcelona paddock, and today's two big stories, Adrian Newey and Carlos Sainz. Have you heard that Adrian Newey was given a very secret tour of Aston Martin's facilities? Yes, he is a very much in-demand man. Lots of teams want him. Aston Martin certainly want him. They've already made a play for him earlier in the season. Well, he was out at the Aston Martin headquarters and all of the staff had to leave. That's right. Everybody had to go because it was such a top secret meeting, but well, it's out in the open now. Is he likely to end up there? Well, look, they are certainly a player in the game. I guess everybody is. And it's smart business on Adrian's part to go and see a whole lot of teams. Even if he's made his mind up, that enhances his bargaining power. Now, oftentimes stories like this are leaked by people with a vested interest. I'm not saying this is the case now, but certainly the fact that Ferrari now know that he's been out at Aston Martin, that may result in them upping their bid. And while we're on the subject of F1 movements, Carlos Sainz has still not made his mind up. And in the press conference today, he was asked about that and he just bluntly said, no decision yet. And then they asked Kevin Magnussen, what's his decision? Where's he going to be next year? And he said, well, look, we're all waiting for Carlos. It's like a domino effect. Until Carlos makes his decision, nobody knows what's left. And on the subject of Carlos Sainz, he was in town last night doing a run through the city streets in front of about 100,000 odd people lining these roads, and certainly the majority of these people are here to see Carlos Sainz, who'll be doing 3 runs this evening. What I can tell you is this crowd behind me puts out a lot of heat. I can feel it as I walk past. It's incredible. Jack Doohan was very impressive. He was doing donuts with his hands out of the car. Carlos Sainz did a couple of donuts up my end, and now they're just planning for their second runs. This is Carlos up on stage in the fan zone, and pretty much all the young girls are down the front swooning over him. It was a mighty night down there, and well done to the city of Barcelona for turning it on. Still on Carlos, you might remember this video where my son's girlfriend was gifted a hat signed by Carlos by me going back, 6-7 months ago now. There you go.
Stop! Oh, Kim! This is the best day of my life! Oh my God!
So Carlos sends his fond regards.
Stop it!
Have you got a message for him?
I love you.
Well received. Well, I can tell you that Anika is indeed at the track media day, and she caught up with Carlos to personally thank him. It was a great moment for her, and I'm sure for Carlos too, because that video has had something like 8.5 million views on my TikTok account.
So we're waiting out the front, and then Kim spotted Carlos coming in, so we all got very excited. And I was one of the first people once he'd come out of the gate, so I was pretty chuffed about that. Got a couple of pictures and a video with him, but my hand was in the way, so moved across, got some more walking as he was getting to his car, had a little chat with him about the video and everything. He hadn't actually seen the video, but he said it was on his list of things to do.
How did your expectation of what he'd be like marry up with the actuality?
Well, I mean, it's hard because you don't get very long to actually talk to them or anything, but he was lovely. Really, really phenomenal. 10 out of 10. 11 out of 10, probably, actually.
Is your appetite for... No. Are you sated?
Bruh.
Just satisfied.
Very, very, absolutely.
Now, interesting today, Lance Stroll was late into the track. He actually came by helicopter. And I didn't realise that there is another helicopter landing pad in this track, so he's dropped off by helicopter and then takes a car, gets into the paddock wearing Boss gear. In fact, let's have a look at the fashion today. Lewis in merchandise for Tommy Hilfiger Mercedes, as was his teammate George Russell. And George actually was invited to have a little kick around of a football, or a soccer ball as we call it, by David Croft for a Sky TV thing. And he was a bit wary because he's got to go and do some more modelling in that clothing, because that is a new merchandise line, and part of the deal is with the teams, drivers have to wear it on the day that it drops or thereabouts. But anyway, he managed to keep the soccer ball up in the air for 6 kicks, whereas Yuki Tsunoda managed 31. Now, Lando Norris came in all black, and I was focused on shooting him. I failed to notice that just behind him was his teammate, Oscar Piastri. dumb of me, but in the moment you sometimes have no idea what's going on in the background. Daniel Ricciardo downplaying things here with an Enchante outfit of his. He was the first driver to arrive in this morning. I was out in the car park when Yuki Tsunoda arrived, and I really liked his, well, pastel-coloured trousers, which I mentioned to him, and I got a good reaction from him. Zhou Guanyu was in black and blue, and I originally thought he was an all-black, but that's a Dior top. And then arriving from, I guess, a private charter flight was the hierarchy from Ferrari, including Fred Vasseur in a blue shirt. Now, we rarely see these guys in blue, so it was a nice change. While I was out in the car park, I couldn't believe how dirty these cars were. And pretty much every single car was filthy, and I'm thinking, there is no dirt road, why are these cars so dirty? Then a colleague of mine here said, no, that is Saharan sand. It's carried in the air, and of course when it rains, it's just dumped straight back down on the ground. And every single one of these hospitality suites was covered in that brown sand, as was my cameras and even the Rolex clock. Talking to another photographer who lives in Italy and said, look, it was 36 degrees there the other day, and the sky had a real brown tinge to it. So that is the thing that happens rarely, but is not unheard of. I'm not wearing a watch today, but I did give one away. Congratulations to Ryan Fordham, who won a watch that I gave away in a video from Canada. If you're wondering, it is the pinned comment on that Canada post-race video. And Ryan, you'll have your watch in a couple of weeks' time. You'll love it. I took this picture of Craig Slater today, and I never see Craig in a long-sleeve shirt like this, nor with a bow tie, and so I had a word with him and asked him what the story was. And this is what he told me. He said, this is in honour of Kevin Campbell. Kevin played for Everton, Arsenal and some other teams, and was a regular presenter on Sky, and he would always wear a bow tie on Thursday. So to commemorate his passing, Craig was indeed dressed up as Kevin would have done. This is one of the Mercedes trucks here, and these boys behind me are madly trying to get off that Saharan sand, and it's no mean feat, because that is a very tall building, and every single team is having to do exactly the same thing. This is one of the Mercedes engineering trucks, and as you can see on the side here, it has some coordinates. And every race, they change those coordinates depending on where they are racing. So this weekend, we're racing in Spain, so they've got the Spain coordinates. Now, apart from Adrian Newey, not much Red Bull news going on today. Oh, actually, I can tell you that somebody told me there was a bit of friction at the Mercedes conference today in the hospitality suite with George and Lewis. Now, it wasn't overt, but there was certainly something there in the way that Lewis and George were interacting. And I guess that's probably something to be expected when you leave a team and suddenly you're being provided with less information, perhaps a lesser product, who knows. But certainly there was something going on. And at the Alpine press conference, both Esteban and Pierre were asked about this story of Renault not making the engines for the Renault cars. Well, they just patted that away. In other news, I was delighted to see a release date for the Brad Pitt Apple movie about Formula One. It is July 25 in 2025. Now, the international release date is the Wednesday before the Austrian Grand Prix. What I'm hoping for is that there will be a screening on the 25th in Vienna as the launch date, because I know a lot of people want to go and see that the moment it lobs. And if that's the case, I'll be there with bells on. Now, Kimi Antonelli was very visible in the paddock today. He was wearing his Mercedes kit, and of course he is in the Mercedes Junior program. Of course, there's much talk about him going to Mercedes, and he's very much a product of Toto Wolff. Toto has a vested interest in this young man. He's put a lot of energy into him. His manager is Gwen Legru, who also had a lot to do with Esteban Ocon's rise through the ranks. I like Kimi. I think he's going to be a sensation in Formula One. He certainly reminds me a whole lot of Ayrton Senna, just in his looks and perhaps even in his driving. So we will await some news on that front shortly, I think. Now, I've just seen something hilarious out the back here of the McLaren garage. I've seen Lando Norris in an unusual rig, and these, well, I can't even show you the photos. He said, you cannot use these photos. I so much want to show you, but no, he was quite adamant about it, but good fun. Look, you'll see the resultant vision, and at some point when he's less touchy about it, perhaps I'll air them, but this is what it looked like, all blurry. He's got a very good sense of humour, but he wasn't happy about looking the way that he did. He actually said he'd sue me if I used them, so you'll understand why I haven't used them. Hey, before you go, a favour, could you please subscribe? Just the ones who aren't subscribed. The rest of you fine. Let's move on to something else. Perhaps like the video, that'd be helpful. Thanks for watching, and
Permanecer apasionado.
This is a tough one.